Have you ever felt like stress is silently stealing your life away? Not in big, dramatic moments, but in the tiny, invisible ways. It shows up in your shallow breathing, in the way your jaw clenches when you're not thinking, in that moment when someone asks, "Are you okay?" and you nod, even though a storm is screaming inside you. Stress doesn't just affect your mind, it becomes your world. You wake up with it. You carry it through your workday. You bring it home. And even in your sleep, it lingers. But what if I told you that your relationship with stress could completely change? Not by removing stress, but by changing the way you meet it? In this video, I won't give you surface-level advice. No hacks. No drink more water and take deep breaths cliches. What I'm about to share is ancient wisdom, a shift in how you see stress, how you respond to it, and how you reclaim your inner peace, no matter what life throws at you, because this one shift could change the way you live forever. Stress is rarely loud. It doesn't arrive at your door yelling, "I'm here to ruin your life." No, it slips in quietly, like a fog. You don't notice it at first. You keep going. You tell yourself, "I'm just tired. It's just a busy week. This is normal, right?" But slowly it tightens its grip. Your shoulders stay tense even when you lie down. Your thoughts keep racing even when nothing's wrong. You snap at people you love. You forget things. You feel disconnected. This is the silent invasion of modern life. We live in a world that celebrates busyness. Overwork is a badge of honor. Exhaustion is worn like a trophy. And rest feels like weakness. But here's the truth. Stress is not just in your mind. It's in your body, and the longer it stays, the deeper it roots. Your nervous system becomes trapped in survival mode. Your brain starts scanning for danger, even when you're safe. You lose touch with your breath, with your body, with this moment. And the worst part? You start to believe this is just how life is. But it's not. The ancient teachings of mindfulness, especially in Buddhist traditions, remind us, stress is not the enemy. It is a signal. A call to awareness, a chance to return. When you stop seeing stress as a monster to fight, and instead see it as a message from your body, you begin the path to freedom. So let me ask you, when was the last time you truly listened to your stress? Not judged it, not silenced it, just listened? Let's be clear about one thing. Stress is not evil. In fact, it's part of your built-in survival system. It's your body saying, something matters, something needs attention. When a lion chased our ancestors, stress flooded their bodies with adrenaline. Their heart raced, muscles tightened, focus sharpened. It was the body's way of saying, run, now. But here's the problem. You're not being chased by lions anymore. You're being chased by deadlines, by expectations, by comparison, by that one email you forgot to send, by the feeling that no matter how hard you work, it's never enough. The system is still firing, but now it has no clear end. No point where you finally escape. That's where the suffering begins. You see, short bursts of stress are natural, even healthy, but chronic stress, the kind that sits in your chest for weeks, is where things go wrong. It wears down your immune system, disrupts sleep, damages memory, shrinks joy, and inflames the very tissues of your body. But what if I told you that the stress response is also your gateway to transformation? That when understood, when worked with, it can become the very force that leads you to inner strength. Because here's the truth. You're not broken because you feel stressed. You're human. And the real shift happens when you stop trying to eliminate stress and start learning how to relate to it differently, to breathe with it, to move with it, to ask it, what are you trying to tell me? This is where everything changes. The shift is not about running away from stress. It's about turning toward it with awareness, with curiosity. Buddhist wisdom doesn't promise a life without discomfort. Instead, it offers a radical approach, liberation through understanding. In Buddhist psychology, stress is seen as a signal, not a problem to be fixed, but a doorway to deeper knowing. Here's the core idea. Suffering isn't caused by stress itself, but by how we relate to it. When stress arises, most of us tense up. We resist it. We wish it would go away. We judge ourselves for feeling it. I shouldn't be this anxious. I should be stronger. I'm failing. But the Buddha taught, whatever you resist, persists. Whatever you embrace, transforms. That's the shift. What if the next time you felt stress rising, instead of fighting it, you simply noticed it? What if you paused, placed a hand on your chest and said, "Oh, hello, stress. I see you. You're here. I'm listening." This sounds simple, but in that moment, you're doing something profound. You're breaking the automatic loop. You're no longer the victim of stress. You're the witness, and the witness is free. Because when you can observe something, you create space around it. Space to breathe, space to respond, space to choose. This is mindfulness, not an escape, but a practice of deep presence. When you make this shift, you're not pushing stress away, you're sitting beside it, you're learning from it, you're softening its grip without forcing it out. And in doing so, you become stronger, not despite your stress, but because of how you meet it. Perception is not just how we see the world, it's how we shape it. Imagine two people standing in the same storm. One sees danger, the other sees renewal. The storm is the same, but their experience, completely different. That's the power of perception. In Buddhist teachings, Namarupa, name and form, refers to how our mind labels the world, and through those labels we create our reality. When you label something as stress, it immediately carries weight, feels heavy, dangerous. But what if you labeled it differently? What if stress is not an enemy, but a messenger? What if it's saying, something needs attention, something matters to you? In that moment, stress becomes a compass, not a curse. The Buddha taught that our suffering comes not from what happens, but from the meaning we give it. Think about that. Your boss sends a short, cold email. You immediately think, I'm in trouble. I did something wrong. But maybe they were just busy, distracted, in a rush. It's not the email. It's the story you wrapped around it. This is how we suffer twice. Once from the situation, and again from our story about the situation. But here's the liberating truth. Stories can be rewritten. And when you begin to question the stories that fuel your stress, you take back your power. Instead of, this is unbearable, say, this is hard, but I'm still breathing. Instead of, I'm not enough, say, I am learning, I am growing. Instead of, this shouldn't be happening, say, this is what's here now, and I choose how I meet it. Every time you shift your perception, you shift your reality. And every time you do, stress loses a little more of its power. There is a moment, a small gap, between what happens and how we respond. In that tiny space lies your greatest power, the power to choose. But most people miss it. Something triggers them, a comment, a delay, a failure, and before they even realize it, they've reacted. Shouting, blaming, panicking. Regret comes later. Awareness comes even later. This is the world of automatic reaction. And it's the default mode for many of us because the mind loves speed. It wants to judge, defend, protect, attack. Instantly. But mindfulness teaches us something revolutionary. You don't have to react. You can pause. That pause is sacred. It's where you take a breath instead of lashing out. Where you feel the emotion, but don't become it. Where you recognize the pattern and break it. The Buddha taught, just as a solid rock is not shaken by the wind, the wise are not shaken by praise or blame. Can you imagine that? Not being shaken, not because you're numb, but because you're rooted, grounded, awake. This is what mindful response offers. Amid all the noise, the deadlines, the worries, the expectations, there is a quiet place within you, a sanctuary, a space that stress cannot reach unless you invite it in. Most people live their entire lives without ever entering this space. not because it's far away, but because they're always running in the opposite direction. The Buddha didn't promise that the world would become peaceful. He promised that you could. He spoke of the mind like a wild elephant, restless, wandering, easily startled. But with practice, the elephant could be tamed. That inner sanctuary, that stillness, has always been there. It's what remains when the noise falls away. So how do you access it? You return. Again and again you return. To your breath, to the present moment, to this one single inhale and this one single exhale. It may not feel profound at first. You might think, is this it? But over time, you begin to feel a shift. You're less reactive, more grounded. You start choosing presence over panic. You start hearing your own voice over the world's demands. And most of all, you begin to trust that you have everything you need already inside. So after all we've explored, the nature of stress, the trap of control, the refuge of the present moment, there is one final realization. It is not the absence of problems that brings peace. It is the presence of awareness. You will still face moments that shake you. You will still have deadlines, heartbreaks, challenges. But the difference is you'll no longer meet them as a storm. You'll meet them as the sky. Imagine living like that, not reacting to every shift in the wind, but standing steady like a mountain. You won't be perfect. You'll still fall back into old habits at times. But now you know the path back. Back to the breath. Back to now. Back to you. This is the beginning, not the end. The path of Dharma is not walked in giant leaps, but in gentle steps. Every day, every breath, every choice. If this video resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe. Together we'll go deeper, not just to learn more, but to become more aware, more compassionate, more free. Thank you for walking this journey with me. Until next time, remember, you are not your thoughts. You are the one who observes. And the one who observes is always free. Breathe deeply, be here, and let peace become your practice. Namaste.